Following the 7 Years' War, France found itself with a cowardly king and a crippling national debt. The majority of the population were peasants, who were required to pay unfair taxes while the rich elite classes lived lavish lives under the financially wasteful government. The French masses reached their limit, and so the French Revolution began. Among several groups of radical reformers, a new one emerged, sans-culottes. They were comprised of French citizens from all walks of life: shopkeepers, artisans, laborers, bakers, and even ex-soldiers. Basically any man, woman, or child who wanted a change in the world and was willing to fight for it. Starting in the summer of 1792, then for 2 years onward, their attitudes, desires, and ideals were driving factors in their internal development of the revolution. They were recognized by their dress, which they used to distinguish themselves from the more elevated classes. They wanted to be seen as people of the working class. They wanted to completely separate themselves from their ignorant, lavish leaders. They did so by wearing beat-up and worn-out clothes, whereas aristocrats would spend thousands on fabrics and accessories. The frustration of inequality was enough to start a revolution, but the outlandish taxes pushed down on the peasants only added fuel to the inferno. Forced to make various payments to the clergy and the aristocracy, however, they were also faced with harsh restrictions, such as hunting, fishing privileges, and as well as the right to bake bread and make wine. The main goal for the French peasants was to liberate themselves from feudal taxes, and when they succeeded, they played a huge role in the elimination of feudalism in Europe, helping pave the way for capitalism. The sans-culottes believed that the rich should be fairly taxed and that all men are created equally. They also wanted immediate relief from the food shortages and rising prices. The sans-culottes didn't stand for anyone who challenged their belief in liberty and all that they stood for. This group of rebels was extremely involved with the downfall of the monarchy and were engaged in many of the violent and bloody riots that took place during that time. In fact, they seemed to be involved in every riot occurrence from 1789 onward, such as the fall of Bastille, the raid of the Tuileries Palace, September massacres, and the day the women of France took Louis XVI captive. When the king was decapitated on January 21, 1793, the sans-culottes had a taste of victory. Although there would be many trying times before the revolution would come to a close, this was a moment for them to celebrate all that they had achieved. It's easy to look back and say it made sense to revolt against the government in France, but that doesn't nearly give enough credit to their bravery. Try to imagine living with all that suffering and watching your life and liberty being ripped away from you. They took matters into their own hands and were extremely passionate for change and would keep fighting until they saw it. Although they left a blood stain on the world's history, their courage will carry on and hopefully inspire future generations.